All right, so if chapters 2 and 3 gave us the foundational operating system for action, then chapter 4 is the essential software upgrade. It introduces this incredibly powerful new variable into the whole equation: knowledge. But here's the key. It doesn't just add a new feature. It fundamentally rewrites the code for how action itself functions.
So here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with what I'm calling the timeless algorithm to see where this wisdom even comes from. Then we'll get into the principle of system restore, how the system course corrects. From there, we dive into the big one, the core puzzle, the action paradox. We'll look at how knowledge acts as a purifying fire of knowledge, and then, most importantly, we'll ground all of this in wisdom in execution. The first thing we need to get straight is that the wisdom in this chapter isn't some newfangled idea. Not at all. It's presented as an ancient battle-tested operating system. It's not being invented here, it's being restored.
And right away, Krishna lays out the source code, so to speak. He traces this incredible lineage of knowledge. Now, this isn't just a history lesson, right? This is about establishing its authority, its provenance. The point he's making is crucial. This isn't some fringe theory he just came up with. It's a fundamental principle, time-tested, with a direct, unbroken chain of command.
So you can really see the flow here, right? It starts at this cosmic level, gets handed down to the founders of civilization, then to actual historical leaders, and now, here we are. It's being restored in the present moment for Arjuna. The message behind all this is so powerful. Truth isn't something we invent. It's perennial, it's always there, and we just rediscover it in cycles, especially when it's been lost or kind of buried. Okay, so that begs the question, right? If this knowledge gets lost, how does it come back? Well, the chapter introduces this concept of divine descent, or avatara. But we need to be really clear here. We're not talking about it as some mystical, magical event. It's presented as a philosophical principle, a principle of systemic correction.
So what triggers this system restore? Well, the text is actually super specific about it. It's not random. It kicks in when the ethical frameworks start to crumble. When disorder basically becomes the default setting for society. That's when an intervention happens, to reestablish balance, to reestablish purpose. So yeah, think of it less like a miracle and more like a necessary logical reboot in response to total system failure.
All right, let's buckle up, because now we're getting to the absolute core of this chapter. This is the big intellectual pivot, and honestly, it can be a bit of a challenge. This is the part where everything you thought you knew about action and inaction, well, it gets turned completely upside down.
First, let's just lay down the baseline. Our normal definition of action, karma, is just doing stuff, right? Physical effort, mental effort, all aimed at getting some kind of result. Simple enough.
And of course, inaction, a karma, is just the opposite. It's stopping all that activity, just not doing anything. But as I said, chapter 4 is about to take that simple idea and completely flip it.
And here it is. This is the heart of the paradox. From the enlightened perspective, you can be in the middle of the most intense, demanding action. But if your mind is free from attachment to the results, you're actually in a state of inaction. Now look at the other side. You could be sitting perfectly still, maybe even meditating. But if your mind is just a raging storm of wants, fears, and plans, you're actually performing intense mental action. See the flip?
So what? Why does this even matter? Because getting your head around this paradox is the key to absolute clarity. Once you can separate what's happening on the outside from what's happening on the inside, all that confusion about what should I do, it just evaporates. This understanding is what allows you to act with precision and decisiveness without that crippling hesitation. So, how do we get to that state of clarity? The chapter gives us this incredibly powerful metaphor. It describes knowledge as a kind of fire, a purifying agent that literally transforms the nature of action itself.
So we have to reframe how we see this battlefield. It stops being just a physical plot of land and becomes a metaphor for our own internal world, our own consciousness. The real war isn't between two armies, it's the internal conflict between ignorance and genuine understanding. And in that war, knowledge is the ultimate weapon. It's what purifies the entire field.
And the text could not be more clear on this point. It says there's nothing as sublime or as pure as this kind of knowledge. It has the power to just burn away all the residue from past actions, all that self-doubt that holds you back, all the hesitation that's born from confusion. This is what sets your actions free from their usual binding consequences.
Now, this purifying power completely reframes another big concept, sacrifice. It gets upgraded. It moves from being just an external ritual, like throwing something into a physical fire, to being this deep internal process. The real sacrifice becomes offering up your own ignorance into that fire of knowledge. It's the disciplined pursuit of understanding that's what truly transforms the ego.
Okay, so that's the high-level philosophy. But the real question is, how does this ancient framework actually work today? You know, in our world, in our high-stakes jobs and lives. Let's bring this all down to earth.
And you'll see the applications are incredibly direct. This whole concept becomes a kind of operating system for ethical leadership, helping you act from principle, not just impulse. It gives you that much needed clarity when the stakes are really high. It builds that discipline of learning before you leap into action. And maybe most importantly, it forges the mental resilience you need to just execute decisively when you're under pressure.
So let's just boil this all down to the core thesis. Think of it like this. Action is how we engage with the world. On its own, it can get you tangled up. But when you introduce knowledge as that clarifying, purifying agent, it completely transforms the quality of the action. The result of this synthesis, action guided by knowledge, is freedom. Freedom from being bound by your work, even while you're right in the thick of it.
And that leaves us with one final, very practical question, because this isn't just abstract philosophy, it's a model for real transformation. So I'll leave you with this. What's one action, one project, one big decision in your life right now that would be completely transformed if you brought this level of deep understanding to it?